The Ottomans are getting revamped at last, even though this nation is having still one of the biggest mission trees in game, even though it wasn't edited like forever ever. Today we're gonna see a lot of changes to this beautiful nation, making the gameplay even nicer and more challenging in some parts. And of course, you can see that today I'm recording for the first time from my new location, which is to move to a new house with my wife. And you could probably see my backgrounds on Twitter and Reddit, where I posted this wall over there. This is not a green screen, guys. By the way, for this video, I'll need a green screen, so let's get it started. Merhaba the Hoskeldin, which apparently means hello and welcome. So first of all, what we are getting in this dev diary is some additional information on what are the lessons that Paradox learned from the release of Lions of the North. First of all, branching missions are great, but if you get them too many, it might get too difficult, especially for less experienced players, and they are very hard to maintain bug-wise. Customizable guarantee forms are gonna be a big no-no because it's too much pain to create them. New generic government reforms and tiers were exceptionally well received, yes. I love them, especially after the rebalancing between the dev diaries and the final release. You did a great job making many governments well playable. And for 1.35, apparently they will want to expand the aspect of this game a bit further, especially for the biggest nations in game, which will be later in this dev diary. Again, about complexity of the mission tree, they want to make it a bit simpler, especially at the start, and find the focus of the previous DLCs about certain regions was too much on a mission tree. I think that wasn't a bad idea, especially after a few DLCs where, you know, there was just adding a lot of provinces, getting a lot of new mechanics, getting the game overwhelmed with the new mechanics. So, you know, getting the focus back to the mission trees, or at first to the mission trees, was a great idea. And still, I do see their point, and I agree with it, that we should focus more on adding more mechanics, but within the mechanics that are already in game. So for example, some government buttons, like ones that were introduced for Russia, or the ones that were introduced for some of the Middle East countries. This is what we're gonna see for this dev for the Ottomans. Anyway, let's get started with what we are getting from the Ottomans. This is of course information that, you know, there's a never-ending discussion between people saying Ottomans are too overpowered, please nerf them, and another group of people, Ottomans are not historically overpowered, please boost them. And we will see what will come from this dev diary, but what I'm expecting is getting more power to the Ottomans, but also at the same time more struggle, so they are bigger of a challenge for the player. Let's start with the mission tree. You can see this is gonna be beautiful. Pax Ottomana. Is it about forming Roman Empire as the Ottomans? We will see. The game starts with the event, the Victory of the Varna Crusade, because of course the starting date of EU4, most of you probably know that already, and that was on my map in the background, is the date of Battle of Varna, where Polish king Władysław Warneńczyk, which is also ruling Hungary and was leading Lithuanian troops as well from his brother, died in a big battle against the Ottomans. So this starts with an event giving Ottomans 25 power projection and 100 splendor. So this is very straightforward for them, by being a great power, to get to 50 power projection without a single war at the very start. But it doesn't mean you want to go to many wars, because mission tree is gonna help you do that. Then you get another event, which I think is a bit strong, because that allows you to get 3000 cannons with zero cost. And I think this is also a bit historical, so I like it, but at the same time, to nerf it a little bit, these cannons will not do any damage in the battles. They're purely siege focused. City of the World's Desire mission, I think that was already a decision in the past. Right now it's gonna give us Translucent Faith, legitimacy, some death to the Constantinople, death cost and devastation decrease. So this is what they said that is gonna happen. First you have some one mission path to resolve, and once you do that, you can start getting different branches of the missions, which I think is a good change for the newer players, so they're gonna be able to focus on something at first and then slowly understanding how the nation works, getting into the new branches. The first branch is about pushing into Europe and reclaiming the true Roman title as a true Roman Empire. And doing so is gonna change your name from the Ottomans to Devlet-i-Hum. However it is pronounced, please correct me in the comments. That gives 10 maximum absolutism and allows us to move the capital to Rome, getting out of development over there and allowing to get provinces in Italy from Iyalets. What are Iyalets, or how it is pronounced? Please again correct me if I'm wrong. We will move to that in 1 second. This is how the new naming is looking. It's gonna be hard to get used to it. Maybe if it changed the color it will be more natural, but that's just my thought. Well, the second mission draw anyway is about Ottoman consolidation of the Balkans and conquering North Africa. And you have subjugate a nation in the Maghreb regions, let's say Tunis or Morocco or SAS. You're gonna get Maghrebi corsairs naval doctrine, which allows you to raid coasts. Ottomans raiding coasts. Oh boy, that might be a bit too overpowered. What? That's my just suggestion. I think this would be too OP, allowing Ottomans to raid everything, especially that you can, conquer everything and then raid the AIs all the time. I think it would be better, while you're allowed to raid coasts, it should significantly decrease the efficiency of raiding or how much loot you can actually take from the provinces. So you can raid, but it's not as strong as a pirate raiding or Maghreb nations raiding. The middle row concerns itself about the development of Constantinople as a jewel of your empire. The consequence of the Mamluks. Oh, so what they are gonna do about the conquest of the Mamluks? Let's take a look. And here we get the knowledge what the Iyalet are. So Iyalet are special subjects added to EU4 for the Ottomans. Let's take a look in Google what the hell are historic Iyalets. So according to Wikipedia, Iyalets, also known as Beyliks or Pashaliks, were a primary administrative division of the Ottoman Empire. So technically they were part of the Ottoman Empire, but apparently they had a lot of independence within the Ottoman Empire, and we have even some maps, for example from 1730, where we have, for example, Egypt, we have Anatolia, yes. So let's see how they work in EU4. We have an example of a few Iyalets you can create from the mission tree. One of them is a Transylvania that will change their name once you do that to Iyalet. So they're gonna have their unique names, and they're gonna get government type Iyalet government, which gives national unrest, tolerance, a lot of tolerance for defense, cooperation cost, and additional gov capacity. And yes, look at this naming. What is interesting, Iyalets are very independent in this case, meaning that these local Iyalets can be called into, will be not called into any wars automatically like normal subjects. And it will also not work like tributaries that are completely separate, but this is gonna be something in between, because you'll be able to call Iyalets into the war for favors. You need to use 20 favors to call into offensive war and 10 favors to call into defensive war. And here again, I think at this point this is too little overpowered, meaning that it's not easy to get 20 on 10 favors, especially that you need to use your diplomats on different stuff, and you have a lot of Iyalets. How the hell are you gonna get that many favors? I would rather say that it should be 10 for offensive and 5 for defensive war to make it a little bit better for the players. Here we have a response to a question like, why the hell I would use this freaking Iyalets if they can't even join my war? I should use normal subjects or just conquer these lands. Where, according to this dev diary, they're gonna give you a lot of passive benefits. Not only the vassal tax, which is part of the general subjects mechanics, but also 20% of the manpower and sailors power, as well as the force limit. So something similar to crown colonies. So this is a very strong modifier, and I might want to redo my 1 million manpower rush, because as the Ottomans you can do it far faster than I did as Russia. I have a struggle to say it's too strong. If it's not too strong, I think 20% is rather good to start with, but it might require some nerfs once we go ahead and start testing it. At least it's not like 50% like crown colonies were at the very start. 20 is far more balanced. So it's saying that we have 8 predefined and script Iyalets from the mission tree and events, and then you can also get a casus belli to create your own Iyalets. And for example, we have here a casus belli for Wallachia, establish Iyalet, which is probably the same cost as fully annexing, and then you can see it's only changing the type of the garment without changing the name if it's not scripted. Now the Mamluks. So they did it. There was also infinite discussion is, should we do them full of Mamluks historically where the Ottomans just poof, destroyed them within one war, or should we keep it as it is, more balanced for the game? And I believe we're going for the first option with a nice tweak, I would say. Do not make the Ottomans too overpowered. Well, they're gonna be overpowered, but not too overpowered. Like, for example, fully annexing all of these lands at once. So what you can get on the Mamluks once you conquer some provinces and then siege down the capital for the next war, you can fire some events like collapse of the Mamluk Sultanate. Because if you hold Cairo for 3 years, the event end of the Mamluk Sultanate fires, allowing you to sign a white peace with Mamluks and create Iyalet of Egypt, so you fully take over the Mamluks as your own Iyalet. Interestingly, they are gonna annex all of the subjects, so that's also very useful. To make it a bit more nerfed, you can see that the Mamluks are gonna get an event for plus 50 minimum autonomy, so it's not gonna be full strong and OP, it's gonna work on half of these possibilities. And what is good, you can get rid of this modifier by computing a certain mission tree. The fourth part of the mission tree is focused on religions. Here we go again for my favorite part, so a choice. You can decide to go legalism path, or you can decide to go the path of mysticism. And I would love really to see the path of mysticism being significantly stronger than legalism, because from my knowledge, major of the players focus on legalism, on stacking the legalism, because these bonuses are just stronger in the single player. Then this is why I think the mission tree should be stronger for the mysticism part. If you unite Islam, you can get a golden age for all of the Islamic countries, and at the same time you have a carrot to go and conquer Persia, because that allows you to increase prices of cotton, silk and dyes until the end of the game by 10%. And we will also get golden silk modifier, which is provincial trade power 15%. Here we go with Pax Ottomanas, the last mission on the whole mission tree. What does it require? It requires to complete all of the missions, pretty much, have 4,000 development and be first great power as a hegemon. So I would say probably doable easily in the first 100 years with this mission tree. What does that unlock? Plus 5 admin efficiency, so it's pretty worth it. You can see that I'm just in the middle of the diary, and it's a simple message. This change to the Ottomans is not only about the mission tree. There's gonna be far more changes making the gameplay more interesting. First of them is a new estate, the Janissaries. I know a lot of people actually ask about that in the comment section of my previous video about China. So Janissary estate is created to be super strong with the bonuses, but at the same time there will be a lot of negative events requiring you to do nasty stuff. Let's start with the fun part. So what kind of great bonuses they are giving? It's like yearly army tradition under the shock. 7% land ownership gives 3.8% infantry combat ability. So does it mean that at 100% crown ownership you're getting 40% infantry combat ability? That sounds a bit too strong, maybe. I mean, reading the next part of this day, it will be said that they also very nasty, but I assume a good player can manage it, so maybe not 40%, maybe let's make it 20 at most. Okay, we don't have in any place of the game a better modifier to infantry combat ability than 20%. Right, from ideas of Prussia or Sweden. From policy you have 15%, from my idea of quality you have 10%. Don't make it 40, please. Then we have some bonuses to Janissaries, reinforce cost, reinforcing for free, and 10% discipline. Well, you know that I'm not a big fan of Janissaries, because they cost you meal points and they weren't that strong, but if these two will be introduced, they're gonna be too strong. So I'd probably say maybe make these two privileges something like for the Carolians. You can only choose one of these two, and maybe make it 75%, and this, I don't know, 5 would be too little, 10 would be too much, maybe 7.5%. Then for the other stuff, there's I don't think nothing interesting besides Heaven's Provinces gaining 25% local manpower modifier. Wait a second, doesn't the privilege from Dimi also give you manpower in the Heaven's Provinces? That would be too much manpower to stack. Maybe also make these two privileges exclusive. You know, either take the manpower from the Dimi or you take the manpower from the Janissaries or nerf both of them. Just a thought. So what kind of disadvantages this estate is gonna bring ya? Well, events like this that will be revoking some of the privileges, getting you minus 5% discipline to your specialist. I'm just thinking, okay, what kind of alternative I'll have to that? Will I have to accept this, or I can fight it somehow to keep my privileges? Refusing to give privileges will result in Janissary revolts, which are more dangerous than the normal rebels. As such, refusing even to grant these privileges can lead to your country breaking into the Janissaries. Okay, so I can keep these bonuses, but that will be hard to maintain. But I saw more experienced players should not have big problems with that. One change that I love is adjusting estate agendas to nations with more than normal default free privileges. So right now you're gonna get as many agendas choice as many estates you have. So you have 5 estates, just like in this screenshot, you're gonna get 5 agendas choice. There goes a new mechanic, and I think it's a new mechanic that is actually being introduced in 1.35. By the way, I don't know if this was already in this dev diary, but officially 1.35 is a free patch, but also it's gonna be a DLC. Looking forward for the naming for this DLC. So how this new mechanic of Decadence is working? Where Decadence is a kind of mechanic that I want to test for the Ottomans. It might introduce to other great powers that might lead these great powers to break. So Decadence is gonna increase when you have a corruption, low legitimacy, being bankrupt, negative stability, being over gov capacity, losing a war, or, and this is the most interesting, from events when you go over 100 overextensions, so it might actually hurt you a lot to do so. At the same time you can decrease it, but it's far slower and it's through the positive legitimacy and stability. Now at 100 Decadence, you're gonna get these modifiers. Stab cost plus 100%, 50% tech cost, liberty desire from subject development 100%, reform progress with minus 100%, Janissary influence plus 15%. Yeah, all of them are severe. I love them. Just maybe one of these modifiers could impact something more crucial for a nation, like for example manpower or manpower recovery speed. Something to think about, something related to military I think should be added here. What about this impacting for defense? Because your people are not so likely to defend because of the Decadence, they don't want to defend, so this way your enemies have far smaller siege ticks and it's harder for you to defend your own forts. There are also a couple of special disasters that you can fire as the Ottomans, so this is the part that I mentioned earlier, where you can get a significant challenge. So for example, internal power struggle unlocks you 4 different disasters. While most of the players will avoid the disasters, altogether those who seek challenge and pain can trigger the Decadence disaster on purpose in order to unlock the missions. Okay, so you can go and avoid this disaster, but you might not get some of the cool bonuses from the mission tree, so I actually like it. More challenge, but a bigger reward. So for the internal power struggle, you are having 4 disasters to deal with: a Janissary coup, Iyalet rebellion, Pasha Decadence, and Plot of the Harem. So of course Iyalet is about your subjects becoming disloyal, so you can see there's plenty of events for increased liberty desire. Pasha Decadence is a disaster which is the most straightforward. Your provinces are getting decadent and refuse to pay you, and you limit the rebellions. Okay, so you have to fight multiple rebels to fix it. Then we have the Plot of the Harem. This one is on an internal level, so what is it? Ooh, that hurts. We decrease loyalty of all of these states. And what else can we see over here? Oh, we can get minus 10% all powers cost. I love it. You need to take it or your armor might die. Okay, this is very cool. And the last disaster is the Janissary coup, and apparently this one hurts the most. You are gonna get the cost, idea cost, reform progress growth, under 100%, so with 100 decadence, and this you might have minus 200 reform progress growth. Does it mean it doesn't increase, or you're starting to lose your reform progress? That should be the case. Okay, this stuff hurts, and apparently those Janissaries will be a lot of them, and their army quality should be significantly better than the normal rebel units. But if you manage to go for this disaster, you're gonna get the mission Manage Your Army, which is giving the following event. Okay, disables Janissaries, but you're getting 10% discipline. I mean, it's cool that you change your tech type and unit types to Western, because at this point you're gonna start being stronger than your Anatolian, especially after the Anatolian unit's nerf in this patch. 10% discipline. It might be a bit too strong. I would think about changing it a little. Of course, the Janissaries themselves had super strong bonuses, but this should be nerfed as well, and same for this tier 5 guarantee form. Remember, only place where you can get 2 places where you can get 10% discipline is Prussian monarchy from full militarization, and one of the states in India, I believe Marathas. For 100 of crown lands you can get 10% discipline as well, unless it was nerfed recently, but I don't think it was. This is too easy. I mean, for experienced player, this is too easy. It's a bit too big of a reward. What's cool is alternative, because this is by fighting the disaster, but there's alternative. If you complete the disaster by revoking all of the privileges of the Janissaries, you can get this. Reinforced speed 35%, reinforced cost minus 25%, only for the Janissary regiments. So I think there was reinforced cost as well in the privileges minus 100%, but you cannot have privileges here. Can recruit Janissaries, so can keep Janissaries, but at the same time you're getting some of these bonuses and also special units force limit modifier. This is cool, but I feel like this is a bit stronger. At last, finishing the missions for the internal power struggle. I will definitely go for it if I try playing as the Ottomans. You are going back to reorganize Ottoman government. That gives you a fixed dynasty. You can still have Pashas, Janissaries, the estates, the Iyalets, and also it gives you legitimacy and justified demands. I think this is by default. So notifiers are country mirroring the normal Ottoman government. The main feature of this reform is the lack of decadence. Okay, so just get rid of this annoying modifier. And the mission A New Dawn, so the last one in this part of the mission tree, is giving you 100 power protection, stab cost modifier, legitimacy 5% admin efficiency, and maximum absolutes of 20. Last part are what they call events and reforms. So how does death sharing system work? I think that was the decision that gave you a permanent manpower modifier, right? So now it gives you death share mechanic ability. We will see how it works in a second, but also just plain modifiers like manpower, so same as it was, Umara influence, Janissary loyalty, equilibrium, and Janissary influence. So how does this Deathshire thingy work? So we have 3 buttons, and we have assign local pashas, 10% co-creation cost. So this on top of the co-creation cost that the Ottomans already have in their ideas, another 10%. Okay. Pretty strong. Then every heaven province will gain minus 10 local autonomy, and then also minus 200 monthly devastation. Okay, then we have recruit a new Grand Vizier. I assume you can only unlock one of these 3. You cannot have all 3 of them on the same tab. Diplomatic annexation cost, possible advisors, and a cheaper advisor. So right now, these 2 are completely on a different level. How about the third one? The third one is giving a plain manpower covership and Vassals manpower contribution. I love Vassals manpower contribution, especially with the Iyalets. This is nice. I feel like this is cool. This is a bit too strong. This is very situational. I think it's also cool. So maybe I'm shaking my head because I know there's gonna be another co-creation cost. That's for the Ottomans in 1 second. That's why I think maybe it should be something else in co-creation cost. Well, maybe instead of co-creation cost, this could be years of separatism. Would be also working to assign local pashas. And now, why I'm saying that? Because there are all their guarantee forms, like for example, provincial governance system. This gives 33% tax modifier, -1 local unrest of foreign culture groups for pashas. Tax meta income from vassals, promote culture cost. Cool. Fall of Vienna, the Turkish threat advances for the Papal State, subjugation of Austria. You can make Austrian Iyalet, Iyalet I Avusturia. Then we have Hadrian Barbarossa, 6654. Millet system. 10 development is randomly distributed among 10 random-owned Christian provinces, and it is enabling demi-privileged millet system. Reform progress curve, and every own Christian Jewish province will gain -5% development cost. This is cool and balanced. We have reign of women, possible advisors and female advisor chance, expansion of the imperial bureaucracy, and that's what I mean. Until the end of the game, 10% corporation cost, 10% gov capacity modifier. Why two different corporation cost modifiers? One of them is cool, we can keep it here, but for the button over here to assign pashas, I would say something else would be really nice, like for example mentioned years of separatism. Okay, last couple of things we have in this dev diary. There's individual for Suleiman the Magnificent, there's a unique government reform for Rome without the Decadence mechanics, there's a Beylik for all of the Turkish minors, there's a unique naval doctrine for all Turkish nations, most importantly naval force limit modifier, and this is it. Next week we'll return to Far East Asia with Big Boss as we take a closer look at the content for Japan. I love playing in Japan already, so looking forward for decent mission tree over there. And guys, I can say that already. No, I'm gonna leave it for the next week because I have a cool suggestion for Shinto. Anyway, for today I think it's gonna be it. So guys, if you do enjoy me explaining to you the new dev diaries we can expect in the next patch, remember to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel to get notified about this future content. Bye!